Hi, my name is Lindsay and I work for a local organisation called Future Connect. Future Connect help to create opportunities that lead to improving education, training and employment pathways for young people in Brimbank and Melton. In today's career chat, we are joined by Jeff, who is a trainer at AGA and has been working in the plumbing industry for over 50 years. Welcome, Jeff, and thank you for joining us today.
Very welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you. Now let's just jump straight into it. Now, can you tell us the 50 years, at least 50 years experience in this plumbing industry, can you tell us about your career journey and how did you get to where you are today?
Okay, Lindsay. I started my time when I was 16 years old with my plumbing apprenticeship. As far as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a plumber. So my father said to me, well, Jeff, if you can get a job, an apprenticeship before school starts next year, you don't have to go to school. So I went around and interviewed a few prospective employers, and I landed with a business in Footscray called Central Plumbing. They were a company that did a lot of work. They did a lot of maintenance work. They had a lot of city maintenance work, all the large hotel people there, and they did a small bit of new work, but mainly it was a maintenance type job, and I suppose houses called for problems with burst pipes, put roofs on, spouting, and something like that. So it was a good all around career, because I got to do all aspects of plumbing with that particular firm. I was very grateful for them giving me a shot.
Yeah, they're still around now, aren't they? Are they now? Central
Plumbing, they sold out. I believe the business sold out. I think the original proprietor there, he's since passed away, of course, and it changed hands into something else. But it is still a plumbing and electrical concern, I believe. But it's not trading under Central Plumbing anymore.
So that was a really good start, because I guess it gives you that really broad range of exposure to different types of plumbing, from commercial to home to, I guess, renovation, emergency.
Yes.
So you've got a really good view of all the different areas.
It was a full gamut.
Yep. And then so did you continue to work with them after your apprenticeship?
I did. They were 5-year apprenticeships then, so I probably worked 8 years with them, and then I had another offer to work with a company based in Sunshine, actually, that did mainly new houses.
Yep.
And they were doing sewer house connections to the drain, because houses were being connected to the sewer in that area. So I thought that was a good opportunity to get onto the new house work, because that's where your speed comes from. New house is such a very competitive business, so you had to be good and quick at what you did. And I learned how to get my speed up there, and that was a good education as well with that particular firm.
Yeah. And from there, have you moved into your own business, or did you continue to work with other people throughout your career?
What I did for a short time, I went and worked. I was working for myself, become self-employed, and at the time then I'd met my wife, and we wanted to buy a house. And self-employed people at that stage with the state bank, they didn't particularly to take on self-employed people. So Central Plumbing have been ringing me up and saying, Jeff, can you come back? And I did for a while, just to get about 18 months of a steady, an income which showed how much I was earning and what have you. And that was the basis of borrowing money for house back at that time. So I went from there to that particular side of things, and I think I can't remember what I did after that. I did get employment with other plumbers, with other plumbing firms, and probably did a bit of work myself.
Yeah.
And then from there, because the plumbing industry offers you a lot to do, I was offered a job with the then Melbourne MMBW, Melbourne and Metropolitan Board of Works. They were what Melbourne Water is today. So I went in there as a plumbing and drainage inspector, and that was a great education. And eventually, I finished up as the CBD plumbing inspector, where I was looking at all this plumbing work in the multi-storey buildings and what have you. That was a great experience. I could see at that time the industry was changing from government employed inspectors to private enterprise, which is how it's done now. So
Yeah.
I thought I've got to get myself educated again to take up another career. So within Melbourne, I became Melbourne Water at that stage, and there was one of their departments was the Trade Waste Department. That was trade waste discharges to sewer. So and there were legal agreements to do that. So I had to learn that. I had to go back to
Yeah.
school and learn about environmental science. So
Wow.
you can't sit still if you wish to stay in these new positions with the employment. You've got to continue your professional upgrade.
Yep.
Improvement. So I did that. I did. It was 4 years of night school to do
Wow.
environmental science degree. So I did that. What did I do from there? So after I left that particular industry, I went out and worked for myself for 15 years.
Wow. Yep.
So I did that, and then another opportunity came up to work in the Plumbing Industry Commission, the people actually regulating the plumbing trade.
Yeah.
So that was another education trip in statutory law.
Yep.
So I learnt about that, and then in the next iteration, it was the Building Commission, and it finished up as the Victorian Building Authority, and where I was a team leader of investigations there. So that was a big step. So at age 65, going on 66, I thought I've had enough of this.
And then, but then you became a trainer, teaching.
Well, I retired, and and then my wife saw a lot of me, and she said that wasn't a contract. She said I'd make you tea at night time, but not breakfast, lunch, and tea. But so I did some painting around the house and did all things, and then I was offered a job here with AGA, and then I found out I had to go back to university again to get a TAE.
Yep.
Yeah, so I paid my $2,000 up there, and I think 19 started and 2 of us completed. It's not a course that a lot of people finish. They start it, they don't finish. So here we are, we're doing this, and I've never been happier.
Wow, what an amazing career you've had. I think it's so great to highlight that. I mean, if we think back to when you first started your apprenticeship, I don't think you would have ever imagined that this is the way that your career path would have gone. No,
and plumbing doesn't stand still. You've got to learn you have to learn. You've got to keep pace with the technical changes. When I started my pipe work, we put threads on pipes, and it went to copper. And now you look at the new houses; they're all polybutylenes and very expensive tooling to do the job. So you've got to move with the times.
Yeah. But it's so great to also identify all of these other different types of roles that you can work in, like because I think what level is it that your apprenticeship? What certificate do you come out with when you finish your apprenticeship?
It would have been it was a technical school. Would have been leaving at a leaving standard, I would have thought.
And the equivalent of that now is what do the young people come out with now when they finish their apprenticeship? So it's Cert 3 or a Cert 4?
When they do an apprenticeship here, they can go all the way through to completing their 4th year of plumbing.
Yep.
And once they have completed the plumbing and they've passed all their assessments, they then can apply to do what's known as a journeyman's exam. So they'd have to go to it's usually set up in a TAFE college where you have people from the Victorian Building Authority who then set up an exam for you, and it's probably over a day or maybe a day and a half where you've got to make certain models in sheet metal and maybe in copper or whatever they decide they want you to do, and you have to pass it. And if you pass it successfully, you then will be you'll get your registration in plumbing. So that's what you need to have that registration to go out and work. A license comes on top of that. If you want to be licensed and issue a compliance certificate, it'll cost you whatever your insurance is. You've got to have, I think it's minimum $6 million public risks and liabilities. So if you could prove you've got that to 12 months.
Yep. So there's always something more that you can be achieving
Correct.
within plumbing. And I think that's, I mean, as a young person, you probably, well, as a young person, a lot of the time you don't actually know what you want to do at all. But it's just amazing to hear your story today, because that led you to an environmental science degree,
Yes.
a Cert 4 in TAE to become a trainer. And I'm sure you mentioned a lot of other
Statutory law.
yeah, like, I mean, you know, you just never know where your where your qualification and your career pathway takes you. So it's great to hear all those different places that you've been and worked. I think sometimes plumbers quite often go to excavating to do excavating as well, and there's extra things that as a plumber, even if you're running your own business, you can offer these other or get licenses in other areas as well. Is that right?
That's right. I think there's 7 classes and 8 subclasses of plumbing you can be involved in. And you are right. A lot of firms might specialise. So we'll only do excavating, we'll only do drains, and another company will say, look, we just want to specialise in putting on roofs. There's a lot of roofing plumbers around. There's others who want to specialise in refrigeration, because that's a class of plumbing. So they can specialise in plumbing that way. So I've got something with I've got all the qualifications on my bit of plastic license, but you might find some plumbers might only have 2 or 3 or maybe 4. They might have drainage to do their excavating and what have you. Someone else might have they might have the water supply and refrigeration. So that's all they want to do to do their business. So they become specialised, and they've got the tooling to do those jobs, which is quite expensive. And you've got their trucks.
Yes.
Probably about $70,000 sitting on the road in a plumbing truck and its equipment. Yeah.
Yes. I wanted to ask, now you're teaching young people that are completing their apprenticeship right now. So they spend 1 day a week in class and 4 days with the employer. Does that sound
That sounds right? Yes.
What does their average day with the employer look like for an apprentice?
As I said, depending what their employer is specialised in, there are some boys here that are doing new houses, so they're very good at the polybutylene, hot and cold water, and maybe some gas work or something like that. There's 3 boys, I think, who are working for roofing establishments. So when they come to do their roofing assessments, they're very good at it.
Yes,
we've got a little house there we can put a roof on, and spouting and gutters and all those sorts of things, and they're very good because they're doing it every day of the week. I just consider to be on a roof all your life, there's a fair chance you'll get skin cancer at the end of the day, because you're getting all that reflected sunlight back at you. So you could probably do it for a while because there's pretty good money in it. But if it was me, I'd be looking to get myself to start off with, do that sort of thing. It's the danger of working at heights, the cuts, the sunburn. So I would be looking to do something else, maybe closer to ground level. That's only me though.
Well, it's funny because when you think of plumbing, you think it does happen at ground level, like that's where you're spending most of your time. But there's so many other options for plumbing. So that's been great to share that today. What sort of skills does a young person need to become a good plumber or a good apprentice?
Okay, I think if you want to go into the plumbing and building trade, I'd say VCE, and this setup we have here, where we have year 11 and year boys coming in. I've had them for 2 years. They did plumbing, so they get a Cert 1 and a Cert 2 in plumbing. And the ones who really took a shine to it, they've been ringing me up at home saying, "Yes, Jeff, I've got to start with a plumbing company." There would be maybe 6 that have got to start with a plumbing company right now. And I've had people ringing. They said, "Can you write me a reference?" I said, "Well, AGA won't let me write a reference on their letterhead." I said, "You've got my own personal phone number, and you can put my name down there for a referee if you wish." And I have done that. People have rang me up.
Fantastic.
I've told them this to go ahead, and I feel pretty proud to say in a couple of instances there, on my recommendation, these boys have been picked up. Excellent. So they've rang me up and told me, and I've said to them, half joking, half serious, "Don't you let me down."
Yes. Well, that's another thing, because within most industries and trade in particular, it's a tight-knit group. Plumbers know plumbers, especially in local areas. Like, so we always try to explain to young people, never burn your contacts, always make a really great impression, because if they don't have an opportunity for you right then and there, they may know of somebody else in a plumbing company who is looking for somebody, or they'll talk to each other and they'll be able to recommend you. So you're right. It is, you don't want the kids to let you down, because everybody does know each other.
Now, when they actually start, they're in the workshop. I always say, welcome to AGA, and welcome to the plumbing industry in the workshop. And I say to them, this is the first day of your adult education. I want you to behave like adults, and just remember you're on show here. So as you do your education through AGA, the better you perform in the classroom, and your attitude will probably go a long way to us recommending you to a prospective employer. And I've said that to a couple of them, and the message sort of got through maybe halfway through their second year, and I'm really proud of them, the way they embraced the online learning too. They were very good.
Yeah, it's been a big year.
Yeah, it's been a big year for them. They've done really well, and I'm very happy to see a couple of them have got full-time employment now. It's good.
Good. And it's, it's sometimes it's the simple things. It's like getting to the job site 15 minutes early, using your initiative and asking questions, and not standing about waiting to be told what to do next.
Yes. Yep. Punctuality is good.
Punctuality.
Yes. I say to them, if you've got to be on site at 7:30, if you're there at 7:30, you are late.
Mm-hmm.
If you're 15 minutes earlier, you are on time. If it's past 7:30, forget it.
Yeah, because you just don't get very many opportunities to be late, do you?
No,
you don't have that opportunity at all.
Don't sleep in. Get out of bed.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now, what is the best thing about being a plumber or working in that industry?
I would say plumbing. My experience of plumbing breed the best characters you will find on the building site. I don't know what it is, it's the job or whatever, but plumbers always seem to. It's more like a brotherhood, I should say. Sometimes you'll hear plumbers say, "How's it going, bro?" And they sort of mean it too. Plumber to plumber, or for a new plumbing apprentice start, you'll always hear them say, "Well done, boy. Good on you, bro. You're one of us."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It is a brotherhood. I don't know any other way to describe it, actually. And if you continue on and do your plumbing apprenticeship, it's not a very large industry, the plumbing industry. And like you said before, everyone knows everyone. And if you wish to leave one particular plumber, one plumbing organisation, and go to another, they'll say, who did you last work for? And you can bet your bottom dollar that person knows that particular plumber, and they'll be ringing up asking about why you left.
Yes.
So it is a small society, and it really is a brotherhood. That's been my feeling with plumbing. Like Steve before there, as he left, he put his arms around my shoulder, and we're fossils.
Yeah. But it sounds like it's a small but close-knit but supportive community that's working within plumbing, which is fantastic. And you're right. It does mean that, you are on show and that everybody knows everybody. So
behave yourself.
Yep, that's right. Now, you have spoken about keeping up to date with changes, keeping up to date with, it might be new legislations or it might be new requirements. Correct. Where do you see the industry going in the next 5 years? What are sort of the changes that you can see happening?
It's hard to reinvent the wheel. I mean, plumbing's plumbing, water supply is water supply. I just see a lot of the new gas appliances coming out, hot water services, heating, refrigeration appliances and things like that. They're becoming more technical. There's always all plumbing appliances now. I'm correct in saying appliance. All plumbing appliances now are connected to the electricity. There are fans with them. They've all got remote controls. So if you're going into that industry and you wish to service that industry, you'll also have to have an S permit in electrical. So you'll have to continue this continual upgrade of your of your employment, your knowledge. It's a continual upgrading to keep up with those changes. There's always different methods. There's always different pipe works coming out. When I was speaking to some people from the PICAC Centre, where we took a Wednesday class there to see the World Plumbing Day, and you hear people talking about things, and I mean, people now harvest water for the rather than using the mains water. And I heard one particular company talking about siphonic storm water savings from a roof in a multi-story. Like, I said, how does this work?
Yeah.
And it does, so that they're harvesting all the water. So you've got to keep up with that. There are anyhow, it's that sort of thing. Not contaminating the water supply, all that sort of stuff. There's new ways of being doing that. But I've always said to the board, plumbers are probably the most important people in the community. They give you a clean water supply and a clean sanitary system, and they prevent any infections and diseases. Doctors cure, plumbers prevent. Just remember that one.
Yep.
Doctors cures and plumbers prevent.
Now, tell me, is there a plumbing network? Like, does a plumber? It doesn't matter what kind of plumbing you're working in, whether it's roof or whether it's heating and cooling or maintenance. How do they stay up to date with changes? Are there networks that they're part of that update them?
You would find the Victorian Building Authority would be sending them updates in new regulations to gas, new regulations to water, sanitary and what have you. And then you'd have to, as a licensed plumber, or as a registered plumber, you would be getting continual updates from a magazine once a month called The Plumber, of course. And they'll show you all the new advances in plumbing and what have you. And there's also there's information there if you wish to learn about this. There will be night sessions, and you can enrol to become more conversant and au fait with some of these new systems that are being offered.
Excellent. So there's professional development is always available, like through one way or another.
Continual professional development is always there, yes.
Excellent. Now, our last question for today, Jeff, is what advice do you have for a young person who is considering a career in plumbing?
Oh, well, you need to, at the end of the day, you've got to have VCE. I think that's very important. You've got to be able to write, things down. You've got to have a pretty good understanding of reading and writing, writing a letter of introduction and things like that. That's one of our assessments. I make them do. They quite love me for it, I'm sure. And I've had to write a few for a couple, but anyhow, that and do your Cert 1 and 2. Get a taste of the trade before you actually go into it. If you love it that much, do that during your VCE years, during year 11 and year 12. It's a great initiative that has been offered for young people.
And that's what we're working with at the moment. So for students who are taking up the plumbing vet offering as part of their senior school, so whether it's VCAL or VCE, so that they can get that taste of the industry and work out whether or not it is for them as a pathway that they would like to take after school. So that's been great advice, and it's been so great to hear your about your career and the many places that your plumbing apprenticeship has taken you today, Jeff. So thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you.